Bueno, buenos días a todos,
Good
bienvenidos a
morning to all of you. Welcome to our second symposium, PALPED, uh, Pediatric Palliative Care, the Valle Lili Hospital, Valle Lili Foundation. I thank all of you for your assistance here. I know that we have many people, not only from Colombia, but from several countries of Latin America. And this is very gratifying to see how we are paying more attention to all these aspects of palliative care. This symposium, we do it thanks to the support that we have received from Marshall Mary's project, which we are going to talk about during the day. We thank all the presenters that have collaborated today. It is an honor to have the possibility to listen to them, their experiences, and how they have changed all the care of patients in their different environments, in the different areas and roles that we have. So, we would like to remind you and congratulate all the doctors that are here with us today. Today is the Pan American Day of the Doctor, and this year we have had a very challenging things in our profession. So it is very important to celebrate this special day. Okay, we would like to welcome our nurse presenter. We are going to start the first section of the day that is called Perinatal Palliative Care, the role of birth and death. We invite our nurse Ingrid Lorena Montoya, who is a nurse specialist in neonatal care and pediatric palliative care in our institution, Valle del Lili. Good morning, Ingrid.
Buenos días a todos.
Good morning to all of you. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks to the foundation for doing this event, and thank you for inviting me to participate in it. The topic we are going to talk about today is nursing in neonatal palliative care. So to remind you that in this topic we have three main sectors. So one side is the baby. So in this presentation we're going to talk about babies, neonatal babies. On the other side, we have the community, parents, brothers, sisters, and grandparents of this baby, and we, third, us as a team. Now, the last bulletin that was in the week from 23rd to the 26th of February of the present year, it was notified up to date 1,426 neonatal deaths. So the cause corresponded to perinatal, pre birth, and then postnatal. That means the most of the losses were in the first days or at the moment of birth. They described as the main causes of death in and other concepts and other causes all related to placenta and complications and asphyxia and causes of perinatal in birth at birth. What do we have to discuss here? Eventually, we have many technological advances for the actualization of intensive care for babies that makes it humanization and the strategies that are more focused in promotions of the family are displaced by these all these technologies. The hospitalization of a baby affects a baby and then provides a family crisis. Maybe those emotions are not intervened timely. The programs, nurses, professionals of health, they have an approach here. The topic, the therapeutic goal here is to provide this invite to accompany, to alleviate, to be with patients, and then the death is seen as a failure in our function. In many cases, professionals now they have many administrative tools that provide them, and so they can leave apart all these implications that are focused most in the being, in the person. So in all the intensive care units, most of them, there is a lot of topics of what can we do in order to provide this palliative care. Now, the 25th of November 2019, here there is the resolution 3100 that all the human talent in health that provide this intensive care, neonatal pediatric care, they have to count with the consistency of formation for providing this. It invites all the institutions to generate the strategies that allow them to accompany families in this difficult process of the death of a child. So here we are going to see some essential aspects that we have. How can we uh, intervene or work with these families? We have to generate trust first. We have to inform all the parents about all the measures we have, so they don't suffer too much. They have to understand that in spite that the life of the baby is going to be very short, is going to be pleasant in calm tranquility, and that's what the team have to aspire to do or aim to do. So the effort, the therapeutical effort, when we decide maybe to reduce or stop some measures that maybe will generate some stress and prolong this difficult time to the child. So for the baby and for the parents as well. So we have to see and treat the baby as the child of those people. So what we have to do, we have to do the best for you and for the baby, for the client and for the baby, for the patient. Now, in moments of crisis, we have to understand that we are in an environment that we should be surrounded by professionals all the time, maybe students. It is important to respect their spaces. So the family, they have their emotional times with their family members. On the other side, we have communication, assertive communication. This communication has to be based in truth. One thing is to provide the balance of that hope, those emotions, or those objectives that the family has with the baby. And on the other side is that the communication has to be based in a trying to avoid that feeling of sadness in the family. We cannot hide information, so parents, they have to know what is going to happen with their child in order to make decisions. It is fundamental the information to provide this information from specialists and from all the health team, the team of health, in order to provide, in order the language has to be clear. We have to give them truth. They have to understand what we say is to act to provide clear information. Ask them if there is something else that we can do, that we can provide. So let's say that one of the conclusions is that they mentioned before that they have to talk with someone in order to overcome this difficult situation. So they need some external help. Sometimes that person is our team, a member of our team, health specialists. In making decision, we have to remind the family that they have to act in favor of the child's interest, seeing him or her as at the center of it, trying always with dignity, with respect, from the very beginning, from the diagnosis, from the moment we know that the probabilities of death are high or the quality of life is going to be compromised. In the making decisions, it's important that parents understand that we may have two ways: curative intervention, and in some situations, even these interventions are hand in hand, are linked. So it's not only that we say we are going to wait or take him to the final stage or if they can live, we can do some palliative and curative interventions. So palliative care,
menores de 24 semanas de gestación, dándole a entender a esa familia
palliative care, they
que
have to
nosotros
give them the possibility that we pretend that this child has a birth in the best way, calm way, doesn't feel pain, and what they can do with the child. Okay, now we should adequate the effort, the therapeutic effort timely in order to approach this effort. We need to have the clinical histories at fundamental base for the communication of the team, where what we are going to do is registered what are the decisions we made that were made, and all the team is aware of what we are going to do, what is the care we're going to provide, what is the therapeutical effort. If we do this timely, it's required that we find one private space, we find privacy for the family. If we need a isolated booth with the intention of providing this family this privacy, it doesn't mean that we are going to abandon the child or the family. On the contrary, that they feel that it is special treatment, it's a special moment for them, for taking care of that child, avoid noise, uh, other conversations, uh, external conversations, and different things. So provide this to the parents to limit access of other people. Maybe if we have to have a discussion of a clinical case, if we want to comment something different, we can go to a different place, then talk with the family, ask them. Here we have an image of biombo. It's called biombo. It's like a booth. We don't have that. We have that private space. The biombo, this booth provides us this privacy that we need in order to adequate the therapeutical effort. It is important to evaluate the intensity of pain. We have to take into account the estimated time that we provide the vital support. When do we generate these potential benefits for the patient in the future, and what are the wishes and preferences of the parents in respect of the care of their children. Now, nursing is an art when the nurse experiments and understands the feelings of the other one, is able to detect and feel these feelings, and at the same time is able to express them in a way that is similar to what the other person experiments. The World Health Organization in the year 2018 proposes 6 different groups of children who maybe require pediatric care, palliative care. Here we include we are going to highlight the two last: congenital anomalies, also the members of the family of the child that died unexpectedly. That was something that the family didn't have, didn't know about. So they're going to take this child home, and this aspect could change the expectation like for the child. So here we have 4 main phases or stages for perinatal pediatric care. This first is diagnosis and making decision process. Is maybe the option of early interruption or implementing palliative care when the baby is born. The family maybe has the right to make that decision. Of course, we have to inform them that it is a process that has to continue. In the case that the parents decide to continue, it is necessary to do accompaniment during all this time until the baby is born, to solve all the doubts that they have, the diagnosis, the prognosis, what's going to happen, how much time is it going to last, and all the aspects related to this family and the child, and also what is the best thing for the baby. In this article, it offers the experience, let's say the experience of parents in which their children had a diagnosis, a special diagnosis here, where they decide to continue. For them is healing when the health team talk as the baby as a being, a human being, when they call him or her by their name. So they conclude that there is their baby, and the diagnosis influences in the fact that uh, what for what they are going to do. It presents one informed consensus, and the parents have agreed to publish all this information that we present here. In the second stage or phase, we have to continue with the pregnancy process. The accompaniment, emotional accompaniment, is constant, is continuous. We have to preserve hope and dignity. Hope not as the baby is going to survive, but what are we going to do with the baby in order to demonstrate the plan of birth, and then making decisions with parents, with the doctors and professionals in order to create a birth plan. We have to define who are going to be present here for this birth day. The people or the family members for the mother who are important people are not going to be present, maybe,
esos momenticos de vida
uh,
de mi hijo y podamos
but it's
gestionar
important to do a video call in order to show them those important people when the baby is born, for them to understand that we have the option that maybe when the baby is born, can cry, is able to cry, is able to breathe. So nevertheless, it doesn't mean that the parents are going to expect that gets better, to live live by reading all the interventions of care that are going to be done. That's what we are going to do for the baby, that so it doesn't suffer. It's going to be covered. We're going to provide assistance. Maybe we can provide food, and we can provide the baby coverage, and then favor the compliance from the parents. The parents can be with the baby, can take care of the baby for some moment, to feed the baby. So all these strategies are one opportunity for the parents to feel that they are parents. So the third stage has to do with the birth work, facilitate and manage all the mother needs. So we have to see what are the needs, what does the mom wants to do before the baby dies. And then the active phase of death we have, where the baby is born and immediately dies. And then we have the phase of relative stability, is the time where the baby can last between 20 minutes up to 1 hour alive. So this is a time to say goodbye. We have to call the baby by his or her name, welcome the baby, allow the parents to participate in this small time as much as is possible. What they want to do, if they need us to call spiritual leader, someone. So, for example, in our case, it is an option. It is an option for the baby and for the family, taking pictures, photos after birth, to maybe give them some long, give family members the longest that the baby used, and maybe the hospital doesn't don't represent any loss for the insignificant loss for the hospital, something that means having been in that hospital is a memory that they will have, and all the uh, physical care and aspects, emotional aspects that they have at that time. So at the moment of saying goodbye, we can use the kangaroo position. It favors the link, the love, this contact between parents. Parents can feel the baby that was several weeks inside the mother's body. The kangaroo, we can use it from the moment we know that the survival possibility of the baby is short. We can use it during
todavía
the
está
baby's alive, when the baby is still alive and the mother remembers that she was in that last moment, and nevertheless she could accompany the baby. We can use it for short ranges of time, and let's remember that the important thing is that contact with mothers that they may didn't know the baby, and most important, the mothers who are in hospital, and we can take the baby to the place where the mother is so they can do the goodbye process. So here we propose one execution and maintenance process or program. We have to maintain these palliative services here for all the families who may pass
sobre todo
through our institutions. So here we have effectivity and quality of this attention we are providing. So this article mentions that in one of their conclusions that the implementation of this initiative of palliative care is associated with increasing in the palliative interventions for born babies in the last 48 hours at the end of the up to the end of the life of the babies. So here another of the strategies that we can use with babies, and it is very important, is that we have to avoid potentially inappropriate interventions. Those are inappropriate because they prolong life, and but not only prolong life, but prolong suffering for the baby. And we know that the baby is not going to survive. So to stop these interventions, these painful interventions for the baby, could make the baby to have this possibility to share more quality time with their parents. So this exercise generates, provides a pain, a fear for the baby. So it makes the parents that they cannot take advantage of this quality time with their babies. We have to alleviate suffering, alleviate this suffering. We understand suffering, and this affective, cognitive, negative state is characterized by the sensation of feeling threatened in the integrity, by feeling of this impotency in face of that threat. The baby has a pain, all the symptoms that generate these things. Also, the family to see uh, this situation. The baby is maybe going to die at any moment, and we as professionals, it is very hard, difficult for us to know that we have to take care of the baby and know that this family is affected and affecting us emotionally. This moment of saying goodbye.
podemos aliviar ese
So now
sufrimiento.
we can alleviate this suffering process, providing analgesics, this range of life, and understanding that this palliative situation doesn't mean to accelerate the death process of the baby, but to provide tranquility, calmness in this environment. Now, the baby needs to have the less auditive stimulus. This environment can listen the words of their parents, or us accompanying the baby, providing the instructions or and the possibilities, provide some mother's milk, some drops with this smell from the mother to make him feel comfortable and calm. So availability totally for the parents in the spiritual aspect, psychology, and support. So all these things provide this accompaniment and provide and allow the family to resolve all their doubts and all their emotions. Accompaniment. So to be with them, one nurse defines it as to be with. It means to be emotionally present with the other. It includes to be there in person to transmit availability and share feelings without knowing the person that is being taken care. So there is where we have to be present mostly, where the family cannot be in that moment of saying goodbye. We as nurses, doctors, all the health personnel to accompany in this goodbye process, in this
la familia de este bebé no pudo
So
llegar.
now here we can see the family of that baby. It was an unexpected death. Nevertheless, the team was with the health team was with them, and then they gave the baby the words of saying goodbye. Now here in this article, others said the accompaniment cannot be only from the health personnel or their parents who were in the intensive care unit. They were there accompanying in that moment. It was
Porque
solidarity. It is important, this support, because they understood that their parents, they had a very difficult similar situation to the other's situation. So the hospitalization of a baby in this situation. So they received calls from the nurses informing them about their baby, the state of the baby, if the baby had a good night, if the baby didn't throw up, if the baby slept well. We have to remember that
estos
those
momentos
parents wanted to take back home the baby, take the baby back home. So it is important. Mothers, they said that this type of calls, they consolated them and it gave them calmness. So when we provide this accompaniment, we have to allow the parents to hold their death baby before the funeral, participate in the planning of this process. That was the only space where I could see the baby. They say where I recognize the baby. Maybe the father is not in the city, is in another city. Maybe we can allow the father to be there at this moment, to be here at the unit where we took care of the baby. We were here all together. We can ask the parents or make and participate in this process to be here accompanying me while we take out all the probes, all the catheters, and everything. So it is important that parents see how we recognize their son or daughter, their child, as a human being, and this opportunity to dignify the process and the treat that we provide to the baby and to them. The religion is and praying as a source of support, maybe pastor, a shepherd, a father, a father who baptized us. So the person that is important for the parents is one spiritual leader that could come to the unit and accompany them in the transition, in the transmission, in one call, those to manage those things. So now we have, it is one indication to respect the mourning and funeral uh, customs. It is important for them to the image of a saint, one cross, Virgin, the Bible, any of these representation, religious representations to be here where the baby is near the baby at the moment of birth to take the cross to the surgery. So for them, it generates protection and generates that this supreme being is accompanying the baby to in the way to the final destination. So in this study, most of the participants they asked for a funeral and then respect for the body of the baby. And unfortunately, we think that maybe if the baby lived a short time, maybe we say, hey, it is on the contrary, we try to say that they forget quickly this situation. Our family in this study, they mentioned that this is really important. It is really hard. It is even harder than losing one adult person. So they require a funeral. The baby, the just born baby, have a place where they can go and visit him after death. So here we have to collect these memories. We have to generate in the family this materialization of the presence of their baby. How can they honor the short moment of life of their babies? So for in order to do that, there are elements that allow them to take back home, to be taken back home. Elements that are not necessary here, the certificate of birth alive, some disposable objects, the uh, card of vaccination. So different things. We have many leaflets, many brochures, and help material of support that we can provide to those parents so they can read at home. They can have some other resources in order to manage those emotions with this material. So we can have a box of memories, a box where we allow the parents to put in their all those memories. This is a box. This is the beginning. They can make the box a different representation. They can fill this box every day with different things, with ecographies, with uh, fingerprints, with different things. So this box can be filled with many things we have at home. They have at home. Um, it has a different meaning for each family, but the idea is that it allows them to manage those memories and allows them to honor the life of the baby while the baby was here. So in the collection of memories, we have this. We advise the parents to take pictures from the moment the baby was just born until the baby doesn't have many artifacts, many devices. We the idea is not to see the baby as a ill baby or uh, so. And now photographs of the baby when when the baby is in a critical state, and then a neonatal death, and the saying goodbye process. Family photographs, they have the potential of challenge the actual filter of expressions of mourning by the list, reproductive list. They become invisible. Is this tragedy is the only moment in which maybe the mother and the father were with the baby, the only moment that they were a complete family, where they could provide that hug and have that unique special moment that is going to be forever. So here we have the photographies that we take have a lot of dedication from us. This is the only memory that it will remain for that family, for those families. This is the only way they can share the moment with the rest of the families. The only way, the only man that they can show with the neighbors at work, with all the family members. So we have to take the best picture. If the baby has a problem, physical problem, something. So we have some different options, different alternatives. Even we are having forever this presence, the presence of the baby, and also to take photographs of this link, this union that has to do with the hands of the parents and the baby in that special moment. Now, I take advantage of this space in order to mention that we have to give give significance to that hope. So parents expressed that what they wanted to do with the babies were normal activities, only holding them in their arms to feed the baby. They did express that they wanted to take advantage most of the time that they had with the baby, to have all these special memories together, to take temperature, to change diapers, to have all these experience that we, and it's important for us to provide these spaces to allow them to change the baby clothes and have enough time to spend with the baby. The idea is to transform the period of agony in a different time. So here we see a mother that had a dream, had the hope that the baby, her baby, was going to wear a costume. So we did all the process. We have to break the rules sometimes, break the protocols sometimes. So because this is the only moment that that mother had, and also that all the team is involved in the process. It's something important for her. So she will see those pictures and she remembers that time when we took the pictures, when we had that special time when with the custom. I don't forget how old people when they're and greet the baby. So at the moment that they take back those memories, is that custom, is that moment, that special moment. Those are all the feelings that we move when we manage their accompaniment. And another way to provide hope is to provide eh, support in that time. If they want to have that kangaroo position, they want to change clothes to the baby, allow them to do that, even if we can be there as supervising and leading that care, that process of care. But we want to allow the parents to be with babies, to do different activities, to generate memories, to allow them to transform that, for them to transform that moment of life and understand that in those moments here in those pictures that we see, those are the fingerprints of Camila. And then they plant those seeds. Those are seeds, and they plant them in earth. So after the tree flourishes, it is very important for them because it is for them like their baby, their daughter is greeting them. So that is the meaning for the mothers. They want to ask for having that special moment to get to know the baby. And mothers, they wanted to take the adventure to give life to the babies, even for a short moment, to allow those mothers to overcome. We have to help them overcome these difficult moments to favor and to facilitate this link or union moment for the moments that is very important. Another way is, this is Daniel Sebastian. In this family, they lost the baby. It gave significance and hope to others. The card I show here is all the material we provide from the institution, from Valle de Lili Foundation, where the family of Daniel Sebastian, they made the decision to donate material of support, boxes, leaflets, for education from professionals. So we have all these tools in order to provide help to families, and this way to honor the short life of the baby and allow other families to mobilize all these type of memories that are very valuable and important for them. I want to take advantage of this time in order to thank all the health team of Valle de Lili Foundation, especially my colleagues of neonatal intensive care unit, all the people who are changing all the meaning of taking care of care, in helping alleviating and helping all the families that are passing through this difficult process. I want to thank the coordinators, nurses, chief nurse Diana Betancourt, because through all the processes, all the management, we change the way we take care of babies and their families. Of course, I would like to thank to Cuidando de Ti program, because through this process we had gotten to take care to learn, and through these spaces it allowed us to motivate other professionals in order to learn and to provide this accompaniment to all the families that come here. This is very important. Through this, their efforts, we allow people to uh, other people to start doing that. Thank you for all of that. Thank you to all the families for, because through all this process we are better. We build day by day what how we want to be, what services we want to provide, what care we want to provide. Thank you to all of you who are connected at this moment, for your time, for your availability, and for listening to all these things that help us build all these strategies for the families. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Chief, it is a very, um, very important conference. We appreciate all the love you put to all the patients who are in the neonatal care units, because it is very busy, and it is incredible. There are no excuses in order to alleviate, to accompany, and to reduce the suffering process. So thank you very much. I know that we touch some hearts, and we want to solve. Now we are going to solve the questions that other people may have. Thank you very much.
Bueno, nuevamente nos encontramos.
Okay,
Vamos a...
once again, we are here. We are going to give the floor right now to our second speaker or second conference today in the morning. The name is Emotional Accompaniment and Perinatal Mornings. It's going to be given our wonderful psychology, Isabel Correa Cardona. She's a psychologist with a magister in health and medical psychology, especially in university teaching from the ICES University. She also has palliative care specialization in perinatal dual or morning. So she is also a part of the program Cuidando de Ti, taking care of you. So welcome, Dr. Isa. Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. So it's for me a pleasure to be here today in this conference and also to share something very beautiful, which is something very important about the emotional accompaniment. Well, to start, I would like to begin this presentation honoring the life of the little babies, of some of the little babies we have been able to provide accompaniment. In this case, he's Valentino. He was 20 weeks. We had an experience because we couldn't do all the creation of memories with the box, but we also favor in that moment the creation of memories for her mother to be able to carry or to take some things. And after a couple of months, the mother sent us a picture of this necklace as a symbol of joy in honor of Maria Angel, 33 weeks. So this has been a very beautiful case because this allows us to provide accompaniment before and after the perinatal morning, which has favored the adequate dual process. Also, we give him a mosaico. Mother allowed us to share this picture, and also this was the day when we give the mosaic in one of the consultations for dual that we provide to the parents. So you can see right here the difference between this picture and the last picture that we can see right here on the right. So we can see in their faces the emotions or the emotions because of all the accompaniment in the perinatal dual morning and after the death. In honor to the life of Martin, he was only 25 weeks. Honoring Mateo's life, 23 weeks. Honoring Juanita, 24 weeks. So it's also important to highlight or to show you all these pictures because somehow for us to begin to start providing accompaniment is the perinatal duals. We need to understand that death is also part of the lives. When we are born, we have also the right to die, to pass away. And in order to provide a very good accompaniment in duels or in nursing, the most important thing is to be able to talk about the death, to provide accompaniment in a humanized way, even though they are very critical and painful moments for the families, but also for us to be able to permit them to have those feelings and emotions. So what is dual? What is mourning? So it is the emotional process that is experienced towards loss. It's a process that has got to be divided. So those are normal reactions and expected reaction is something very important that I would like to, that I also highlight to the care teams and to the parents that the dual is something that we do by ourselves and is something that cannot be done by another one. So the dual or the mourning process, we need to favor the process. We need to provide company. So we need to respect in a very compassionate and humanized way with the main goals of favoring these reactions and also to prevent to not to turn it into a complicated morning. So these are the phases of the morning. So it's important for you to understand and to know, because many times we believe that the duels or the morning phases are linear, like in the presentation, but they are not. The phases of the mornings are like a roller coaster. So there will be some moments in which the family is going to be really okay, but there will be some moment where they will not. So it's important to respect every single phase where the family is. So, for example, in this neglecting phase, we can feel the pain sometimes in this neglecting or in this denial phase. We are right there not to experience. In regards to the anger, there would be anger, resentment towards the environment, and also to the people, to the close family, for example. So in this phase, it's also important to keep into account, because somehow it's important for the parents to feel angered with that environment. And this could be also an anger towards the care teams, to the doctors or nurses, but it's with ourselves, because it's been painful, it's been complex, because it's something that was unexpected, because generally it's a sudden death when they were expecting their baby to be born happy and for them to be able to share with the baby. So it's important for us, first of all, to provide this emotional education phase for them to, or for us to understand that the parents present in these kind of reactions, among them, there will be the anger. There could be also depression, of course, and that is the deep sadness, this emptiness that they feel is the loss of the sense and motivation, the lack of motivation. It is also important to know that this reaction of depressions, those are very common reactions. There will be a sadness. Sometimes they call us from the health things, very concerned. They say, for example, that the mother is crying a lot, that the mother is really, really concerned that she does not stop crying. So it's important in this moment for us to understand that, yes, parents cried, parents might cry. So it's natural for them to have this or to react in a very difficult way. In our labor, our goals is to provide companion in during the pain. So the problem, the difficulty is that sometimes the anguish towards the tears is not only to see the father or the mother just like that, but also for us as health personnel or staff, what we are feeling. So it's important for us to manage or to handle this emotional contact. It's very difficult for us not to get in touch with this or be part of this sadness. It's important for the health personnel to provide accompaniment in these death processes or in this transit process. In regards to the acceptation, is to be able to live through the pain. It's the capacity to experience happiness and pleasure, but this will not happen overnight. This is not going to be pretty fast, or to say, well, through the time you're going to be okay, you're going to be feeling much better, or that sometimes acceptation is something that will allow me to live everything through the dual phase, that for me to be able to experience denials, angers, depression, etc. So it's important for us to understand, to be in all these areas, because it's going to be a change of emotions. In regards to the perinatal dual or mourning, it's important for us to understand that this is based on the principles of exploring the understanding of the emotions of the parents, providing individual care, focus or center, or honoring the relation between parents and babies. So many times we can't just take it just like another regular patient, but for the families, is their sons, is their baby, the person they were expecting maybe was not pregnancy, a planned pregnancy, but it was. And in that moment, we need to provide companion from the love by respecting every single case and the situation, not judging independently if that was, for example, voluntary interruption of the pregnancy, or because maybe it's affecting the baby's mother or the baby's mother. In the perinatal mourning, there is a paradox and very painful. We are really focused on the death and the life. Death and life start working all together. Is something that in some sense we cannot control, regulate, or we don't know somehow we can face. So it's very important. Well, sometimes it's very difficult to talk about the perinatals, duels, or mornings. So sometimes we don't even want to be able to analyze every single case because it's the paradox. So this might happen also. In this article of perinatal duels, a secret inside a mystery, so there was a historical perinatal duel. Historically, in 1968, they started checking the psychological effects, and it's important to see. In that moment, there was a silence. The parents were not permitted to see the babies, and in certain occasions, they talked to the mothers and not to fields. And in those times, well, that has been changing a lot. There is a lot to improve. So we thought that to keep the mother in silence will not allow her to feel the pain, but we never thought that when the mother was awake back again in the matrix or something, well, it will generate pain. So this is the phase where we extend the pain, because generally it is very difficult for us that the pain is also part of the life, and also pain, we can learn from it. Well, in 1982, this started changing, and they start motivating the physical contact for the patients, for the families, that for those who have a perinatal loss. And once the time has passed, and the death is not a catastrophe, well, not so much. So we started opening, talking about the importance precisely of being able to have a dialogue, a conversation about the death, and understanding that death is also part of the life. Well, new accompaniment processes were created in order to favor those processes as well. So these are the perinatal mornings manifestations. The most important is important for you to understand that somehow, if I know what emotional reactions a family is going to experience, might help to understand or to generate much more comprehension. So they will start feeling some physical manifestations like press in the chest, palpitations, or somatic problems, sleeping deprivation, and all these physical reactions. There could seems like physical problems, but they are also part of the manifestation that the body needs to express towards the pain. There are some emotional manifestations. For example, I don't want to feel back again, anger, sadness. This is not happening. This is not real. There's a lot of sadness, blames, anger, desperations, emptiness, among others. And there is another fundamental part that is important to work at, and is the guilt of mothers feeling that they were not able to bring, to carry a baby to life. So that is a very, very emotional hit due to the cultural context that we have. So there might be some behavioral manifestations, how automatic functioning. For example, I don't remember when I left something. I don't remember what I was doing a couple of minutes ago. I don't remember what I was doing. I totally mental isolation, social isolations, crises, and some objects to. It could be, for example, some objects of the baby if they have some clothes. For example, attachment is an attachment. So in the psychological manifestations, as we mentioned before, there is the denials. What I did wrong, for example, what I stopped doing, why didn't I notice this or that? Why didn't I continue with the pregnancy? There is confusion as well, especially when we don't give the answers. Hallucinations, sensations of presence, or maybe that they have the presence of the baby in the belly. So it's important for us the mental background or a history of these families, because there are some areas of that precisely to prevent any kind of risk. In the spiritual manifestations, there would be the search, the quest for the sense, the presence of the death, to know that the death is real and it can affect me. And there will be a resetting in beliefs or many structures that in the past they didn't have it, now they do. For example, maybe I'm more attached to God, or maybe the person wants to change or to be away from God. So this could be spontaneous, this cannot be continuous, and it might affect some part of the time. It is important to highlight that different to the other mornings, they are also important in the perinatal dual morning. There is a differential tension. What is the difference for this differential tension? Well, basically it means that is to say goodbye, a farewell to a baby that has passed away than I was expecting to come alive. So this is extremely difficult. Many of these deaths happen also before saying hello to the little baby. So we say that it's a differential tensions. We highlight the importance of humanized service inside the institutions, and through the support that we received, we have some small cards with the goals of posting this in the doors of the units where we are providing prenatal accompaniment for the people to understand that this family is in the mourning process, that we need to enter to the rooms with respect, we need to close the door with respect. It's also based in a space of respect, privacy, and differential management or handling of the parents who lost their baby. So yesterday I was called because there was a mother in very bad conditions, and it has respiratory effort, and it was not able to do it. So it was very, very traumatic. Father didn't know what was happening with his wife. It was very fast. When they just go to the delivery room, we favor for her to live with Christina, with the baby. But the father was, well, really, really astonished. So we provide accompaniment. However, stunned, the father was stunned, but it's important to respect this space among parents. So we provide an initial accompaniment. We explain why we were there, giving support, and we also gave them some space for them to be part of this moment. So I know that sometimes the hurry of the time, the rush, the amount of patients, the necessity for having more empty beds, we forget the importance of providing accompaniment or providing companies. So I want to generate reflection. We cannot lose the essence. It is also important for us, for the families to have time. If we are in the role of those families, maybe or for sure we will ask for this time. So it's important to have an understanding, a comprehensive listening. Sometimes only we need to be there. We don't need to say anything, to be there with the family, maybe to put a hand on the back, all right? So we are not alone. We are really here for you. There is a special value and accompaniment, especially because it's basically to change the crib for a coffin. It's essential to understand because these generate a lot of impact. It's different when we have had the possibility to live with this being, with this baby, to create memories with this baby, to the expectation that we have to the delivery, and now understanding that is coming death. So we need to change all these rituals or to change it for a conference or for some ritual. So it's important to favor or to the physical contact, but it's also to create meaning, significance, to give meaning to the loss, is to permit this family to say goodbye to this being, to this baby that they were expecting alive. And as I said before, is preparing some memories, elaboration of memories. It does not necessarily, maybe necessary you don't have all the resources that we have. Sometimes you can create memories, permitting or allowing the family to share with that baby. Memories could be created through pictures that the family requests, or we can ask the family, I mean, would you like, or would you permit us to take some pictures? That is creating memories. Sometimes before we have these programs, memories were created on paper. So if you have a papers, they have the fingerprints of the baby, and there are multiple ways to create it or to do it. And the important thing is to do it. So where to begin? What to do when I am told, well, you have to provide accompaniment to a family in perinatal mourning or duels? Well, first of all, is to generate contact with the family. Sometimes, as I said at the very beginning, we are scared of facing this because, of course, it's very difficult to be done. However, the first step is to generate contact with the family, to ask for permissions to enter to the room, to knock on the door, not to open the door, to introduce ourselves, to present ourselves. Something that we do, for example, is knocking on the door. We say, excuse me, may I come in? May I be here? And can I be here with you? And for the family also to access for us to be there. We need to listen. Listening, we don't need to say anything. Listening implies precisely to favor that expression of feelings and emotions. Validate feelings. It's understandable for you to feel like that. It's a big loss. It's okay for you to cry. And right here, we have to do all the psycho-emotional phase, not only with the father or the mother and the rest of the family members surrounding the baby. Why? It's because sometimes it might, maybe you say to the patient, do not cry. The baby was sick before and is in a better place. But we need to give some tips to those families about what to say and what not to say. And one of the essential things is permitting the emotions, allow them to cry, for them to be able to live the conscious mornings. And the most important is to experience it, to respond to the questions that the family have. So there are families that we will not be able to respond. There are some questions that we will be able to respond. So it's important to be pretty honest and to say, well, I am able to answer this or this not. Help them to feel in control back again. What can we do for you in this moment? What are your things? So do you want us to call somebody in special? And the most important, to care. Caring. If mother was in pain, if what happened is that they need a quiet or relaxing place, to favor, to encourage all these kind of things. These are very frequent questions that could be asked by parents to us. So these are the questions that we can answer, or that we can answer with the support of the team. Remember that we are never working alone. So one of the questions is, could this happen again? Did I do something wrong? Why did it happen? What happened? Those are regular questions that parents have, and it's important for us to be able to answer or respond those questions. Why? Because it's important to minimize the grief, feelings, and accompaniment, questions that I cannot answer. Why God did this to me? What can I do not to feel the pains? What we can express is, well, it's okay to feel like that. We don't have all the answers for those questions. I would like to have the answers for those questions, but in this moment, we do not have those responses, but we can be here with you through the whole process. What to say? This should be difficult for you. I am here. I'm here to listen. Did you want us to communicate with somebody else? Would you like to tell me something else? What would be important for you in this moment? What do you think I can do for you? If you notice all these questions, we are not leading my needs or aiming my needs, but to what the person needs. So we are always asking, what do you need? What can we do for you? Sometimes long phrases or long, deep interventions are not necessary. It's necessary to be able to be there. What not to say? You're young and you can have more babies. It was the best that could have happened. For example, when the kid has some deformity, it's actually good that this happened now. It has all happened. Don't be sad. Do not cry. You have an angels in the sky, in the heaven, sorry. So those phrases is important not to tell, because they might generate more emotional burdens, guilt, and impossibility to express feelings. And in regards with, you have an angel in the heavens, so they will not understand why an angel and why not a person. So it's essential all the morning and phases of the morning or dwell. So it's important not to say these sentences, especially because of the empathy, because it's necessary to be in the place of the family to understand how we can provide companion from the language based on respect. What can we do? Mainly, name the baby by his or her name. Don't say a patient, don't say Sam, don't say Angel. If they don't have a name, so it's respectable, but you can ask them if they want to call or name the baby somehow. Sometimes parents, they do not know what is the sex of the baby, so we can say, we can ask them, what do you think it was? And sometimes it's very difficult to identify during the delivery. So I have the sensation that it was a girl. So if she was a girl, so how would you name her? So favor those emotions, permit the parents to express their feelings. They can do it through the anger, they can do it through silence, for example, by telling stories about their son. You need to listen to them so they like to share how it's been the whole story. Yesterday with the family, I was telling you before, the fingers and the legs, they were very long. So now the mother said, wow, now I understand why it was kicking in the belly. So it's important to favor, to motivate, to encourage the telling these stories, because that gives a meaning to the loss. It has exists and it has a moment. Create memories if parents wanted to do it. So you can just propose identification of the patient. It is allowed to take some pictures, say the registration of the hands and fingers and so on. What to do to hug, to carry the baby is essential. Many parents, they feel comfortable carrying or touching the baby. So we need to permit that. We need to give them the time to say goodbye, to provide emotional accompaniment. This is something that we highlight. The health team, there are nurses and different professionals, doctors, so it's important for us to have these emotional accompaniments. Usually in the institutions, we are not trained about how to provide companion about dual morning and even in perinatal as well. So it's important for us to create new mechanisms to provide an accompaniment, an integral accompaniment, to support that emotional support for the families to receive it as well. How to be present in the family, to be close. You should not do anything, just to be there, to respect the silence. Do not answer questions that you don't know how to manage our anxiety and our sadness. Allow the person to give a new meaning to the process, and for us also to re-significance the process. So maybe we have to provide a companion to a family, and we were in the whole process, in the whole pregnancy, previous the death, and the most important is to generate connection. This is fundamental and essential. Well, just to finish, I would like to show precisely the impact that this accompaniment has had inside the process. Thanks to Martin's family for sharing these sentences. God, the Virgin and the life gave you the possibility to be inside the valley, to love you, to talk to you, and to feel you. Since I know that you were coming, my life and heart were full of illusion, love. I was expecting to feel your hands, your angel, the spirit. So my life changed one day. We create many dreams and illusions with your arrival, but once in a suddenly everything happens with a prognosis. So it was not necessary to know the reason why. So we said as family to give you the best moments when you move inside the belly, always expressing what you like by answering the motivation that we express till the last moment when your heart stopped beating. It's very painful that you left us, and we are happy to understand and to know that you are back with God, with your heart and with your clean souls. Many of us, we would like to go to heaven, but not knowing the sin. But this could be your fate. My angel, I know that your fast presence in these words changed my life. From that special place that God gave you, protect our lives and strengthening our hearts for the next time to see each other. Martin, my angel in heaven, your mother Isabel, who loves you a lot. So this is also created with the accompaniment. It's very different when we provide companion in the moment of the death. or when we can talk nowadays about how they're feeling now. So this was precisely a sentence or the message that the family gave us this week. And by giving them accompaniment in the right moments, we can see the importance of giving or providing companion. So thanks to Juanita family, it was very important to provide the necessary companions or accompaniments. And thank you because you were very important for me in this process. Well, I want to tell you that I'm at home. I'm improving myself. Thanks God. I would like to receive your offer of having the pictures of my baby, and thank you for your relief words. I wanted to bring this sentence that a mother gave to me because there are some moments where the parents they don't want to have the pictures of their babies. So what we can say is like, I know, for example, the process you're living is very difficult. If you wish, we can take some pictures. I'm gonna keep those pictures, have the baby, and once you feel ready, you can ask. So she asked the pictures 15 days after the baby's death, and we were able to send those pictures to her. God bless you. I hope you continue being an angel for many people who requires sweet being just like you in these difficult moments. Great hugs. So here we have a morning accompaniment. The family says, well, yes, this little box was very important. It's important to see all these objects inside the box because through this box is like my treasure. I will be able to remember. Thank you to Mateo's family. We are really a fan with the perinatal morning program of the Valle de Lili program. We didn't know about this and we don't know any other program like this in any other institution inside this graph. It was really helpful, all what you did for us because you give importance the importance that our baby deserves, and you help us to understand our pain. So these kind of programs not only help us, but also humanize the service because everyone around, we're trying to give us some relief. So thank you very much. God bless. And I believe that this is a satisfaction. We have a lot to do. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to organize. But the truth is that through this conference, you will be able to have all the motivation to create in your institutions programs, perinatal, neonatal, pediatric, morning programs in order to favor accompaniment programs or phases, and also not to forget the importance of the humanized attention. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Isabel, for sharing your experience. At the same with Lorena, with the Dr. Lorena, it's important to see the love you do your work in a different roles, and also to see how you're changing the history of the accompaniment of patients. And it's really grateful, the last part, especially where you show the feedback or the things that families gave to the program, because many times in the accompaniments we have talked, the pain is so high that sometimes families, I mean, we believe like we start thinking, am I really helping? Am I really helping? And these afterwards accompaniments or this monitoring or these accompaniments that is then afterwards show us that yes, we are doing things right. That is very important. That is worth it to do it much better day by day. So thank you very much.
Bueno, continuamos.
Okay, in order to continue with our conferences for the morning, here in this talk that is called Impact and Attention Standards in Intra-Hospital Programs for Perinatal Services, we welcome, and it is an honor for us to have her here, Dr. Yolanda Kim. She is a social worker with 21 years of professional experience. She was incorporated in the Med Washington Hospital Center located in Washington in the United States since October 2003. And then after the year 2006, she developed and implemented and continued managing and coordinating a program of perinatal grief. She was very successful, a big commemoration dedicated to babies who have died. and organizing a commemorative service where more than 200 parents go or assist. It is a pleasure for us to get to know you. You have helped us a lot in the implementation of perinatal grief program. We see your passion in working with families that have lost and have suffered a loss. And we welcome you, Dr. Yolanda King. Thank you very much for being with us here.
Jimena, thank you for the warm introduction and the opportunity to share services and support that MedStar Washington Hospital Center provides to women and families faced with a perinatal loss. As the social worker perinatal loss coordinator, I handle all palliative care and fetal death consults that includes miscarriages, stillbirths, neonatal deaths, and medical terminations due to chromosome abnormalities. To date, I have interfaced with more than 1,500 families who have suffered a heartbreaking loss. So that's a photograph of the exterior of our hospital at MedStar Washington Hospital Center in Washington, D.C. As a quick review, perinatal loss is an umbrella term for miscarriage, stillbirth, neonatal death, and chromosome abnormalities. It affects women and families of all ages, race, religion, socioeconomic status. Approximately 1 million losses occur each year in the United States. I believe the number may be higher based on women who had an early miscarriage that is not accounted for, paired with disparities in reporting fetal deaths. At MedStar Washington Hospital Center, we average about 3,600 deliveries a year with 220 cases resulting in a perinatal loss. The number includes inpatient and termination cases due to maternal health and chromosome abnormalities. In the emergency department, we average about 225 losses resulting in a miscarriage less than 16 weeks gestation. Patients receive a miscarriage bag from the Forget Me Not Foundation. That includes a miscarriage pamphlet, sympathy card, planting seeds, a flower pen, and information on virtual support groups. This is a photo of the labor and delivery room. Once admitted, patients are greeted by a warm and skilled team who has a wealth of experience in caring for women and families faced with a perinatal loss. We have about 75 labor and delivery nurses, 18 OBGYN physicians, 40 residents, and 4 midwives. Once the patient delivers, spends time with the baby, participates in memory making, she's usually discharged from labor and delivery. Memory making includes dressing the baby, capturing foot and handprints, and photography, to name a few. Babies are typically placed in the carrying cradle. This is a photo of the carrying cradle. It is a cooling unit that slows down the natural process following death. It allows parents to create additional memories and to say goodbye on their terms. We have 3 carrying cradles. We were fortunate to have families who donated the cradle to the hospital. Each cradle costs about maybe $5,500. The small cradle to your right to the right of your screen is for miscarriages. We've had the cradle for about a year and a half, and so many parents value the cradle as well as the staff, the team. If the patient requires an overnight stay, for example, a C-section delivery, the patient, the baby, and the carrying cradle are transferred to the quiet suite. As you can see from the photos, it is a bright and spacious room with a calm ambiance. On this unit, patients will not see pregnant or recently delivered women or hear crying babies, which can be very difficult for women following a perinatal loss. Patients do not incur an additional charge once transferred to the suite. A patient may stay on the unit for an additional 2 to 3 days with her baby. Our policy does not place restrictions on how long a parent can spend time with the baby. This is a one-time opportunity for parents that allows them to create additional memories. Once they are discharged from the hospital, many will never see their child again. So patients value this opportunity as well as value not feeling rushed. We have a level 3 NICU and a step-down nursery that can accommodate 32 babies. When a neonatal death occurs, we place white screens around the isolette or transfer the baby to the isolation room to give patients privacy and partake in memory making. The pandemic has dramatically changed the pregnancy experience and has caused added distress for pregnant women who fear catching the virus and transmitting it to their newborn. An adverse pregnancy outcome on top of the distress is a devastating blow to pregnant women and families. Recognizing the heightened vulnerability, devastation, and isolation that grieving patients face, we constructed a revised checklist on how to provide grief, care, and memory making for COVID positive patients with a perinatal loss. This is a photo of the labor, delivery, and recovery room. The baby remains in the room with the mother until discharge. If the patient can, she participates in memory making that includes capturing footprints and photography. As the social worker, I meet with the patient in her room to provide grief support and resources. It is a disservice to the patient if she does not have face-to-face contact with the social worker or psychologist during hospitalization. More than ever, patients need direct contact with all members of the healthcare team. Patients are scared, alone, consumed with guilt, and feel unworthy since they are not delivering a live baby. We shouldn't compound the guilt and isolation by avoiding in-person contact. MedStar Health conducted a survey that included contact tracing. The results show that healthcare workers are more likely to get COVID-19 from each other than from the patient. This is due to close contact in common areas such as the nurse's station, the locker room, the break room, the on-call room, group office area, and so on. Here are some members of the mother-baby team that includes the residents, labor and delivery, postpartum nurses who are holding bags that was given by a grieving patient who was grateful for the care and compassion following the loss of her baby. This is another expression of gratitude from a bereaved patient. It states, "Thank you to everyone at Washington Hospital Center. We are so grateful our experience. Everyone was top notch and really made us feel like family during our time there and afterwards. During our support group meetings, we hear about people's experiences at other hospitals and always find ourselves smiling as we were at the best place possible. So thank you." Expressions of gratitude is really the fuel that keeps the staff going when caring for grieving patients and families. 4 years ago, I formed the Perinatal Loss Committee that consists of 13 nurses from the emergency department, labor and delivery, NICU, postpartum, and a surgical unit. The mission of the committee is to strengthen grief care, policies, procedures, and empower nurses to serve as grief champions when providing patient care. Members conduct in-services, craft checklists, and shape the way grief care is delivered to patients faced with a perinatal loss. New nursing hires and OB residents also attend a 3-hour class during orientation that covers prenatal loss concepts, cultural sensitivity, compassionate grief care, hospital protocol, and communication. During the 3-hour class, associates are taught what to say when communicating with a grieving patient. As we know, words matter, and their words play a critical role during the grieving and healing process. Oftentimes, healthcare providers do not know what to say. Here are examples of comforting statements when communicating with a grieving patient. I wish things were different. My heart aches for you. I'm here to listen if you need to talk. I'm sad this has happened. What can we do for you? These are insensitive comments that you should always avoid. Empty cliches truly do minimize the loss. Examples such as, you can always try again. You're young, you have time to have other children. I understand how you feel. It could be worse. Time will heal wounds. Again, not helpful to a patient faced with losing her baby. So this is a short recording from a labor and delivery nurse who talks about perinatal loss services and support at the hospital.
Hola, mi nombre es
Hello,
Soy
my name
una
is Luz.
enfermera de
I am a
Medicine
nurse
Hospital
of
Center
Med
que trabaja
Washington Hospital.
Nuestro hospital tiene un
Our
programa
hospital has
perinatal para las
a
mamás.
perinatal loss program for
Como
mothers
enfermera, nosotros
who have
pasamos
losses.
con las mamás durante todo el proceso de
As a
parto
nurse, we pass through all the delivery process here,
durante este momento muy doloroso.
and we provide company during all this painful moment.
Y les damos tiempo privado para que pasen con su bebé y sus
We provide them an isolated space and provide them some time for them to have time together.
Estos recuerdos incluyen fotos, huellas de su
We
bebé,
create memories. These memories include photographs, include the fingerprints,
del corazón de su bebé.
a doll, or
También tenemos el
different
privilegio de
things.
tener
We
a una trabajadora social
have the privilege to have a social worker
con cada una de las
who
mamás
stays with
cuando ellas
each
están
of the
listas.
mothers
Además,
when they are
tenemos
here.
una celebración
We
anual
also have
para
an
que
annual
los niños
celebration
compartan y recuerden.
so families share and remember all these moments.
Muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Thank you very much for your time.
Hola. Mi nombre es Lucy.
Sorry about that. Let's go to this one. So during my 14-year tenure with the mother-baby department, I have built a robust program that is truly gratifying. This is a snapshot of some of our services and supports that we provide to grieving patients and families. I'll just do a quick review in terms of clothing, grief counseling and referral, grief education packets, guidance with cremation and burial options, lactation after loss education. We also provide breast pads and cold packs that we give to the mother at discharge, professional photography, telephone, email, and follow-up at discharge. We have partnered with several organizations that provide free clothing and tote bags for grieving siblings who are often overlooked. The tote bag includes a stuffed animal, a special message, and a blanket. This is a photo of a gown that is repurposed from a wedding gown. Selfless brides donate their wedding gowns to make sure babies who have died are dressed in a special outfit. And this is also another crocheted outfit that we provide to babies of a smaller gestation. So mementos validate the baby's life and role of parenthood. It also builds a foundation for healthy grieving and healing. Parents receive a memory box that includes photographs of the baby, hand and footprints, lock of the baby's hair, delivery data, a sympathy card, and other items. We also have a partnership with an organization called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. Professional photographers come in and photograph the baby and the family at no cost to the family or to the hospital. When a photographer is not available, we have a special camera and photo printer that we use to capture the moment. Following discharge, patients receive a grief education packet in the mail that includes assorted materials on support groups, articles on acute grief, coping during grief, gender differences during grief, managing family communication, and so on. We also partnered with an organization called Mamie's Poppy's Plates. We are so grateful for this partnership. This is where patients will receive a free keepsake plate that is hand printed with the baby's name and footprints, delivery information, and name. Also, patients who are faced with an inevitable demise or termination due to anomalies have the option to receive a recording of the baby's heartbeat. Once the recording occurs, we place the sound chip in the heart of the bear. So many of our parents also like this option. Again, keepsakes serve as a timeless reminder of the baby's beauty and existence. Again, we also have a great partnership with the hospital chaplains who will meet with the patient and the family to provide a blessing or a baptism. And then we also give parents a certificate of life that has the baby's name, delivery information, as well as the parent's name. So October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. During this time, special ceremonies and events are held to commemorate little lives gone too soon. On the first Sunday in October, MedStar Washington Hospital Center hosts an annual service of remembrance where patients, family members, and friends are invited to remember precious little lives. These are photographs from the service of remembrance over the years. Due to the pandemic, the service was canceled this year. So instead we mailed a special remembrance gift to parents. It's a monumental endeavor. I have to say, last year was our 12th year of hosting the event. Through the years, we've had a variety of different speakers from parents, mental health professionals, physicians, nurses, hospital chaplains, again, participate at the event. These are some of our hospital chaplains. We also have vocal performances, and we acknowledge the babies remembered by stating their names out loud. As each baby's mentioned, parents receive a special rose in honor of the baby. So this is some of our parents who attended the service that year. The service concludes at the Memorial Garden, where parents place the rose in the garden. And so this is a photo of our Memorial Garden, which is on the hospital campus. And again, these are the little tags that we attach to the rose that acknowledges the babies remembered at the event. Following the ceremony is a catered reception where the staff serves patients and guests, and patients receive a personalized gift with the baby's name and birth loss date. So over the years, we've given various gifts from keepsake blocks, a garden stepping stone, or a puzzle. Following the event, parents received a survey monkey. Comments from the survey allows us to assess what is helpful and what we need to modify for future ceremonies. Here are some comments from the survey. I'll just read one or two. What parents valued is knowing that they are not alone, being in the presence of so many that have suffered a loss, hearing encouraging statements on coping during the healing process. It was meaningful for parents to hear their daughter's name read out loud and to be surrounded by loving parents. One parent wrote, "We chose not to have a service for our son. I regret making that decision." of not doing anything, and it had bothered me for some time. However, the service was just tasteful enough to honor our son. And while this event is healing for the patients, it's also healing for the staff. It gives the staff an opportunity to reconnect with patients to see how they are doing since discharge. As healthcare providers, we play a vital role when providing grief care. It's important to acknowledge the loss. Avoidance adds pain. Using comforting statements such as, "My heart aches for you, I'm sad this has happened," could be very helpful. Allow parents to release tears without fear or judgment. Tears are healing, healthy, and normal. Respond to emotions. Validate normal symptoms of grief. Use eye contact during communication. Nonverbal gestures are just as powerful as verbal communication. Refer to the baby by name. Ask parents, "Have you thought of a name for your baby?" It means a lot to parents when they are asked about their child. It validates the child's existence. Include fathers during conversations. They're grieving too and should be part of the discussion. All too often, fathers are marginalized. Provide current and applicable resources. I have a list of support groups in Spanish that I will share with the team, or with the group, or with attendees. And remember them. Follow-up phone calls, a card or note on the anniversary of the loss is so valued. And here's a list of supportive websites in Spanish that you can share with patients. So in closing, I want to say that there is never closure for bereaved parents. You close a bank account, sale on a house, or a business deal. A parent's grief lasts a lifetime. While on the journey, they slowly find pathways to healing and surviving. As healthcare providers, it's critical that you remain present, that you employ empathy, and that you provide comforting statements that can be very healing to patients and family in the grieving process. So again, I thank you for this opportunity to share services and support that MedStar Washington Hospital Center provides.
Muchas gracias, Yolanda. Realmente es increíble todo.
Thank you, Yolanda. It's been wonderful. All that you do in the hospital, it is also inspiring to see how from your area of social work, you can do many things for patients and their families. And one more thing that is wonderful is that as well as you probably the United States have many more resources than compared to the resources we have in our country. Those are things that are simple to do. And in our experience, we can say that we can do it. So there is no excuse. We take the best standards from you and we adapt, adjust them to us, to our work. So it is very gratifying and inspiring to all who are listening to us. So in some minutes, we are going to have our three presenters in order to have the question. Okay, we can see here with our presenters, we have some questions from the audience. You're a bit behind from the schedule, but we can answer the questions you might ask. We would like to start with Dr. Yolanda, who's our last presenter. We would like to ask you if within all your trajectory as a coordinator of the grief program, at any moment you have found resistance from professionals, health professionals, in order to do or perform all these grief activities, and how can you work on it or manage it?
Yes, yes. So yes, initially when I did start the program, there was resistance from physicians because it was not the norm. There was a time when when a woman delivered, that the team would go in shortly after delivery and ask the mother to take the baby. And basically, parents were given very little time with their children, with their babies. And so when I came in, I had to share with the team the value of patients spending time with their baby, the value of not feeling rushed, the value that this is a one-time opportunity that patients will never get again. And so it took some time to change the culture. Initially, physicians were nervous that the patient would never want to leave the hospital if we didn't limit the amount of time that they were able to see the baby. And so through multiple conversations, attending staff meetings, providing evidence-based data, there was a shift. But initially, again, there was that resistance. But as a professional that had a lot of experience in working with grieving families, the team slowly began to turn, and they began to recognize the value of what we were doing in terms of allowing patients the opportunity to spend time with their baby. I must say, I think the longest that we've ever had a baby in the room with the mother is 5 days.
Wow.
Yes. So we don't ask patients, when do you want us to take the baby? What we say to patients is that you have unlimited time with your baby. Let us know when you're ready. There's no rush. And so again, we have seen much value in that. And the team now understands the value of what we're doing, and that patients know when it's time to say goodbye and when it's time for us to take the baby. So yes, I say to all of those, in the panel today, to not give up, to be, persistent, and to continue to have ongoing conversations, and to obviously present, evidence-based data, because that can help in changing the culture.
Perfect. Quisiera una última pregunta. En una de nuestras
Perfect.
conversaciones.
I would like to have one more question. In one of our latest conversations, we were talking about this collection of memories, companionship for patients with COVID. And a phrase that you told me was I remember it always. COVID doesn't have to sacrifice humanization or a company, and that is with me, that impacted me, because now we are with many restrictions for companionship, for providing company. How did you approach? I know that you mentioned that they are in the room, but how do you manage this? The health professionals, they are afraid of enter into a room of patient with COVID. How have you managed this? If this is an institutional policy or is a decision of the health care professional, how do you do that? Please let us know.
Yeah. So, with COVID, we again, because of our current culture at the hospital, that we recognize the value of memory making, meeting with patients, and not limiting the grief care that we provide. The team already knew that we're not going to change our current practice because of COVID. We all have PPE. We go into the room as we would with any other patient. We go into the room and we provide that grief care. Yes, we did create a new checklist that provides an outline of how to provide care and support to patients who do have COVID. So yes, we do. There was a point where when a patient delivered on labor and delivery, she was transferred to another room. Well, now we keep that mother in that room with the baby. So we don't do any transferring. We do all of the memory making in one room. And obviously, when it's time for the baby to be transferred from the room, we bring the baby to the COVID nursery, where we then prepare the baby for transfer to the morgue. But the conversation to the team was that we are not going to change the way that we provide grief care, because at this point, parents are already feeling isolated. They're already devastated by the loss. They can't have their loved one with them, present at the hospital during delivery, during recovery. And so to limit our access to the patient is a disservice. We should not change our practice. Patients need to have that face-to-face contact with the social worker, with the psychologist, with the with the physicians. That should not change. Again, we have PPE, so we know the proper way to put on PPE. We know the proper way to take off PPE. As I mentioned earlier, MedStar Washington Hospital Center conducted a survey in contact tracing, and we learned that, healthcare providers are not catching COVID from patients, they're catching it from their peers, right? So again, this is not a time for us to limit the contact and support that we provide to grieving patients. This is a critical time for grieving patients, and they need all hands on deck. They need all members of the team to be there with them in that room, providing grief care and support. Parents are scared and they're devastated by this loss, and to limit our interactions is a disservice. I know that was long-winded, but I just can't stress the importance. This is a crucial time and everyone needs to be present.
No, muchas gracias, Yolanda. Estoy de acuerdo contigo. Es cuando más nos necesitan.
Thank you very much, Yolanda. I totally agree with you. They need us at this time. You show us how the attention is centered in the interests of the patient and their families. And we should learn this. We cannot lose sight of this. Thank you very much. We are going to go with another question. This question goes to the Chief Lorena. Chief Lorena, could you clarify us a bit more how you do the collection of memories with the box? And can you explain the audience how we do this process at Valle del Lily Foundation? Thank you for the question. The collection of memories, initially we do it as Isabel mentioned in her conference, first through paper document and taking fingerprints, footprints, and the help of the family. We start using the box of memories here that you can see here on your screen. The intention of the memory box is to collect most of the articles that could have a footprint or fingerprint of that baby that can be remembered through the time. It includes hair collection. We have a card in which we put all the information, weight, height of the baby, and the other side of the box we have space for a room for pictures. We also have in the box a space to put the fingerprints, some material or footprints, some material in which through the writing of the mother to go through the process in healing this grief. Here we have this pillow in a heart shape. It's in order to have this article that the baby used. So for the mother to have the contact with the baby. The idea is that the box is one excuse for the mother to collect these materials. It doesn't have to be just a box. It is to put creativity to work here. It is possible to collect memories of the babies in one package, in one box, in different things. We use recycled material where we can allow us to put these articles of the baby, a diaper that the baby used, some electrodes, things that we mentioned, the vaccination card, and so all the personal elements of the baby that could help the family as a material in order to keep the memories through the time. And within the memories, we can include pictures, photos that I showed before. So I will be happy to answer any other question that you might have, that Isabel has, or any. I believe that it was clear. We are going to have the next question with Isabel. We have two questions for you, Isabel. The first one is how you accompany a family in case of one abortion for congenital deformation. In some of these cases, to take pictures of the baby, how is it? They manifest, they have guilt, feeling in the family, or feelings that they are killing their own baby. How do you approach This situation is an involuntary interruption due to one congenital deformity. One of the most important things is the comprehension that the family has about the process that is being carried out. It is important, firstly, to highlight this because it will give us clarity. Secondly, we can establish the possibility of creation of memories because yes, in fact, we have done that. If maybe the baby has a lot of deformities, it is important to let the family know about this. There are moments in which really something is what the ecography show us, and the other thing is what we see when the baby is born. The baby maybe is born with a lot of deformities. We cannot take pictures from the face, but we can take pictures from hands, feet. So it's to find the methods to take pictures, is to notify the family how the baby is going to be born, if they favor this physical contact, if they want to have this physical contact. Everything has to be negotiated with the family with guilt feelings. It is important to have psychological support since the beginning. It is normal that they feel guilty, precisely mainly because it's one voluntary interruption, as the word says. It is important to work from that beginning this guilt feeling and provide blame feeling and provide support to the families. And then the last question that we have today is also to you. If a mother enters the birth room, but delivery room, and the baby died, they have support by the palliative care unit, but up to when, up to what time do we as a team provide this support and this companionship? Now, this is a question, a very common question that our team ask, many members of our team ask, and then the objective is to provide companion since the beginning. That depends on the resources we have. We want Prize My Child Matters, and we have the possibility to do a follow-up process to the parents after 1 month the baby has died. We do one follow-up process unless parents ask for more support. The ideal scenario is to do a follow-up process through 3 months. As I told you, we don't have enough resources. Sometimes it's not possible to do it, but at least to do a telephone call, to do a follow-up process after 1 month, maybe to find the mechanisms in order to provide this support to the families. I'm not sure if I answered to your question. The question, yes, the thing is how we do it. We can ask Dr. Yolanda, up to what time you do this, do you accompany the patients, because you have some commemorative ceremonies, up to what time you do this process, this support, accompany process?
You mean up until what gestation? Do we do?
El seguimiento a los padres que han perdido el bebé.
They mean the follow-up process to the parents. After what time do you provide the support to the parents?
I see. So once the patient is discharged from the hospital, I do assemble a special grief packet. And the packet includes information on local support groups. Nowadays, everything is virtual, so virtual support groups. It includes information on how men and women grieve differently. It includes information on what is normal grief symptoms. It also includes information on sibling grief if the mother has living children, and also how to manage family in terms of grandparents, extended family members. I usually try to mail that grief packet within 2 to 3 days after discharge. After the 2 to 3 day period, I try to do a 1 to 2 week phone follow-up or email follow-up. Again, because of the volume of cases that we have, 200 plus losses a year, sometimes I only have a one-time contact with that patient post-discharge. But there are families who I have followed for the last 14 years that I've been here at the hospital. So it really just depends. It's case by case. And
Ok.
oftentimes patients will email me as well. So sometimes we had that communication as well. One of the things that we also try to do is on the anniversary of the loss, 1 year anniversary, we try to send out a thinking of you card. It means so much to patients when they receive a card from the hospital, letting them know that the hospital has not forgotten about them or their baby. Oftentimes patients will say, I feel that everyone has forgotten about my child. My family doesn't mention my child anymore. My friends don't mention my child. So to receive a card in the mail 1 year from the hospital means so much to the healing process.
Muchas gracias, Yolanda. Todavía mucho por aprender. Como...
Thank you very much, Yolanda. There is a lot to learn, as my fellow colleagues say.